Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your humbled host, Save Our Children TV, and I'm here to advocate for children who do not advocate for themselves the against the people who abuse children, against the people who assault children, against people who do horrible things to children. So I'm here to advocate for children. Before I get started, like, comment, subscribe. Turn on your post notifications, turn on your bell so you be notified every single time I drop a brand new video on my channel. Subscribe to Crime Time channel and also subscribe to Charles Reactions so you'll be notified every single time I drop a brand new video on my channels. Now I have four videos for you guys today. Four stories for you guys today. And the first story that I'm all written down here. The first story is the update to the four former daycare workers out of Mississippi. A second story is about a 2-year-old who overdosed on fentanyl and had to be revived. Two parents are arrested in that case. A third story is two men who was arrested and are now serving 40 years in prison for a $500K ransom after the parents had to go get the teen boy back, their son back. And then in Oklahoma, going to about the fourth and final story is Oklahoma executes Benjamin Cole for the murder of his 9-month-old daughter. So without further ado, let's get into our video. So the last time, the previous video that I posted on this channel was what I was talking about the daycare workers who scared the children with masks. But there's been an update to that story. Former Mississippi daycare workers are arrested after scaring children. So they have been arrested. Warrants were issued for the arrest, and they have been arrested. 4 is facing felony charges, and 1 is facing misdemeanor charges. The one that's facing misdemeanor charge is the one who recorded the video and did not call 911 and did not report the incident. So, which I think she should be hit with a felony, but we're gonna talk about that. So Monroe County, Mississippi, again takes an L. Okay. 4 former daycare workers in Monroe County have been charged with felony child abuse after scaring children at a facility. Video of the incident went viral on social media site. Monroe County Sheriff Kevin Cook said the charges against the former employees were filed by parents of the children in the Monroe County Justice Court. Sarah McCandless, Oceana Kilborn, Jennifer Newman, and Cheyenne Shelton have each been charged with 3 counts of felony child abuse. Now, there was a lot of kids in there, so I think it should be more than 3 counts of felony child abuse. Tracy Houston was charged with failure to report abuse by mandatory and simple assault against a minor, which are misdemeanor charges. Bond was set for 4 of the suspects on Thursday. McCandless and Coburn each received a $20,000 bond. Newman and Shelton each received a $15,000 bond. Let me show you something. These are the suspects, and they're all females. Sarah McCandless. Now, Sarah with the glasses. Oceana Kilburn. That is her. Jennifer Newman. That is her. Cheyenne Shelton, that is her, and Tracy Hudson, that is her. The videos on Facebook show a daycare worker at Little Blessings Child Care and Learning Center in Hamilton wearing a Halloween mask and yelling at children, "Why didn't clean up or act good?" Who didn't clean up or act good? Children can be seen and heard crying and at times running away from the employee wearing the mask while another employee gives directions about which children acted good or bad. The employee in the mask is shown inches away from children's faces at times, raising her voice and screaming. Sheila Sanders, who has owned the business for the past 20 years, said she was unaware of the videos until they went viral. Sanders said one video was filmed in September and another in October. The behavior shown by her former employees in the video, she said, isn't tolerated. I contacted my licensure and she has gotten involved. Sanders said the people that did those acts are no longer with us. They were fired. I wasn't here at the time. I wasn't aware they were doing that. I don't condone that and never have I, and never have. I just wanted to say it's been taken care of. The Associated Press contributed to this report. The reason why I showed you these women pictures, okay, is because what do you see? They're all white. Besides it's being females, they're all white. First of all, it is actually rare to see female behaving in such. You see more female daycare workers being arrested than you see men. You see once in a while, maybe one or two men being arrested who work in daycares, but you see more female workers being arrested at these daycares for child abuse. And that's why I'm sorry to say this. No, I'm not racist, but I'm going to say this. You can't trust white people to basically give it to children. You can't. I'm sorry. I would never left children in these people's custody. There would have been no way. It just wouldn't. These people it looks like, I mean, animals. This is something animals. They behave as animals. To put your children in the custody. And the sad part is that the children are going to have long-term distress and long-term trauma from this. They experience bad behavior from adults. The children have more sense than the adults. And the fact that one of the adults are facing misdemeanor charges, and if that's not bad, when I was watching this edition earlier, they was about this story. They said if they're found guilty, the ones who are convicted, got the felony charges, felonies, they could face up to 5 years in prison. Mind you, these women gave these children a life sentence of pain and agony. So why the hell did they get a slap on the wrist for only 5 years? I'm sorry. They shouldn't be. If it was up to me, they would have been facing up to 25 to life. This is aggravated child abuse at its best. These people don't care about the safety of these children. They don't care about the well-being. The person who recorded, they didn't care about the safety of the children. That should be a felony. We gotta start taking accountability for our actions. These women should have never been able to be working in a daycare to begin with. And if that ain't bad enough, the female who had the mask on, made a apology video crying, talking about how sorry she was. But you know what? This is the thing. You're sorry because you got caught. The thing is this: those children are gonna have trauma for the rest of their lives. They're gonna have trauma from this. This is long life trauma. You gotta understand these are young, very young children, preschool children. How do you think the children feel? It shouldn't be about you. You should be sorry for scaring children. And I'm glad that the parents um want you to charge your felonies. And I would also recommend the parents to go to the court and recommend them to, what I'm saying, send them to prison when they're convicted to at least 30 years in confinement, because again those children are going to have long life trauma, and trauma is not something to be taken lightly. Those children are going to be forever scarred. They're going to need so much counseling. They're going to need to talk to professionals. You know, one parent said that her son, have nightmares, can't sleep. That's what these women done to these children. They gave to these children trauma. All of them should have been charged with felony. It's child abuse. You're not, yeah, and this is the thing. And for the woman who recorded this, your job was to report this. You saw it going on. You you, you, you recorded it, and did not report it. You got to report child abuse. This is happening in your facility and on your watch. And your duty as a daycare provider is to report abuse, crime, and etc. And you're going to do it. You failed these children. And you failed your job as a daycare provider. And the sad part is, these women are going to have some type of excuses once they get in front of the grand jury. And once again, they find in front of the court when the jury come out, they're going to have some excuse and insanity plea. You can't plead insanity. This is recorded on a video for millions and millions of people to see worldwide. This is all out. You can't plead insanity because people saw this from all around the world and saw how abusive God people was. I'm sorry, I would never trust these people around my children. And to this day, before that daycare got shut down, I think they shut it down. I think it might be still open. I think they talk about shutting it down. But again, I wouldn't trust these people around my children. First of all. Second of all, this place needs to be shut down. Because I believe there's something else going on behind closed doors. I do. I do. Because I don't think this is the first time child abuse occurred at this facility. I think it's the first time they got caught that it was showed worldwide. But this is why it's important to know who, it, for parents, mothers, or fathers, it's important for you to know where you're putting your children at. Do your research. There could be evil right at the doorstep. These people are evil, wicked, ignorant, and care about nobody children. They care about themselves, and they care about frightening, right? And scaring innocent children to the safety of their daycare facility. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think about this particular video. Give those women who were arrested, give them all L's. Because that's what they took. They took L's. They thought they was gonna get away with the child abuse. They got caught, and they right where they belong in county jail. And without to me, they would have had no bond. Just my opinion. You know, to our story, 2 out of 4. Northern California takes an air. 2-year-old overdoses on fentanyl. Parents arrested in Northern California. This happened 12 hours ago. The parents of a toddler who was poisoned by ingesting fentanyl in Northern California have been arrested on child endangerment charges, authorities said. The parents of the child took their son to a fire station in the town of Conco Monday until firefighters they feared he had ingested an unknown substance while in someone else's care, the Butte County Sheriff's Office said in a statement Tuesday. The child was acting lethargic and showing symptoms of opioid poisoning, the office said. A helicopter with Lloyd Medical Center in nearby Chico flew to the rural community and medics gave Nixon Nurcon to the child who responded to the overdose medication, authorities said. The child was flown to an Enloe Medical Center in nearby Chico for treatment and has been in the care of professionals from the Butte County Children's Services Division since his release, the office said. Detectives served a search warrant on the trailer where they believed the child ingested fentanyl and found methamphetamine in the home and a small amount of fentanyl in the parents' vehicle, authorities said. They arrested the couple on child endangerment and possession of controlled substance charges, the office said. Also on Monday, 3 children ages 9, 11, and 16 were listed as missing in San Juan County Electric were found surrounded by methamphetamines and the other drugs, authorities said. Citing substantial danger to the physical and emotional health, the San Juan County Sheriff's Office launched a search for the children after the mother filed to turn them over to officials of Stockton after a court order, the Sheriff's Office said in a statement. Deputies pulled over a vehicle with the father and another woman inside on Monday in Stockton and arrested them later that day. Deputies found the 3 children inside a Luther home along with their mother, who also arrested, officials said. The children's father and mother face charges of child abduction, child abuse, and disobeying a court order, the office said. So, not only these parents leave drugs on their children, but they violate court orders, they abduct their own children. Um, you know, I say this, I'm going to continue saying this. Some people don't deserve children. Because if this is the way you treat your children, why have them? Why bring children in the world so you could abuse your children and get the benefits for your children? So you can go out and do the drugs you want to do instead of taking care of the children in the correct way. First of all, fentanyl is the deadliest drug. It's an opioid. It's a deadly drug. And shout out to Dr. Phil, he had been talking about on his show recently. And California is a high gray line for fentanyl. It's dangerous. So if fentanyl is dangerous, why would you bring that type of stuff in your home, knowing you have children, knowing your children can get a hold to it and ingest it and end up dying from it? Luckily, the child did not die from the fentanyl poisoning because he only took a little bit, and he was um, given Narcan. He was given Narcan to reverse the opioid, to reverse the effects of the drug. These parents needs to be doing hard time for this. It's not okay. And these people do not care about their children. Because if you cared about your children, again, you want to have them drugs somehow. And don't get to quit talking about how good of a parent you are, because you're not. You can lie to the corporate. You can't lie to the community. You can't lie to people. You can persuade the judges and the jurors. You can't persuade the community. You know, it's dangerous, very dangerous. You know, there's a line that you should never cross, and that's bringing drugs in your home. Like, comment, subscribe, and turn your post notifications on. Subscribe to our film channels. Our next story takes us to Philadelphia. So Philadelphia is taking that L. Two men are sentenced to 40 years for kidnapping Philadelphia teen boy, demanding $500,000 ransom from his parents. Two men were sentenced to 4 decades in prison this week for kidnapping a 17-year-old boy from an Olive Garden parking lot in Philadelphia and demanding $500,000 ransom from his parents. Eduardo Castellan Pedro, 39, and Jose Reyes Ochoa, 32, were ordered on Tuesday to serve 40 years in federal prison plus 5 years of supervised release. Fox 29 reported. The duo had been convicted of kidnapping and conspiracy to commit a kidnapping in June. Prosecutors had presented harrowing evidence of the pair's part in the brutal kidnapping of a 17-year-old from an Olive Garden parking lot in June of 2021. The victim, who remains anonymous, testified before the jury that Castellan Pedro Ochoa and the third co-conspirator, Rodrigo Rodriguez Gonzalez, grabbed him at gunpoint while he was counting tips in his car. The men blindfolded him and forced him to spend the night in a cardboard box before driving 2 hours north to Castellan Pedro's home at the Lakeview Apartments in Lawrence, New Jersey. The kidnappers allegedly used the victim's on that phone to get his parents' phone numbers and started making ransom demanding for $500,000 from them. The teen's father, Waldis Santana, allegedly owed the group money related to a drug cartel. The Philadelphia Inquirer reported the victim later testified that he heard the man on the phone with someone in Mexico who said that they should start cutting off his fingers if his parents did not pay. Authorities eventually directed the ransom calls to the apartment complex. Rodriguez Gonzalez was killed in a shootout with police before the team was rescued on June 16. Evidence at the scene later provided that the trio stalked Santana and his family for weeks, going so far as to place a tracker in his car. The seriousness of this offense could not be understated. Assistant U.S. Attorneys Justin O'Connor and Catherine Sherman said in court filings prior to the sentencing, the victim endured 36 hours of terror that only came to an end because of the actions of law enforcement. Meanwhile, Ochoa attorney Peter J. Scoduri tried to pin some of the blame on the victim's family, saying Santana's involvement in the drug trade was what placed his son at risk. U.S. District Judge Harvey Butler III refused to consider Scuderi's argument, calling the crime absolutely heinous and reprehensible. It's very unfortunate that this young man is alive to tell the tale, he concluded. Okay, maybe the dad did make a bad decision, but nobody should be able to be kidnapped, right? And put in a predicament where they're being forced to be put somewhere until a debt is paid. To put somebody in a cardboard box for a whole night to the next day, these three men, the two men first of all got 40 years, and the men who the cop killed should have already been in prison. They were dangerous to society. That's just my opinion. And what the hell is 40 years? If this 17-year endured so much trauma, 40 years isn't enough. They should be doing the rest of their natural life for the safety of the 17-year and his family and the community. Again, that's why the system is failing because we're not putting serious and dangerous inmates in prison. We're not putting dangerous people behind bars. You know what I'm saying? So, we're talking about a minor who was basically taken, kidnapped. If this happened to a 17-year-old female, these men, the judge would have gave these men life in prison without parole because it because of because I guess females are more, what's the word, more safekeeping than men, basically. So the judge would look at it that way and say, well, if this happened to a female, that they got life forever to men, just getting them for the years. I think that these men should have been doing the best of their life, in my opinion. And this is why the system is broken. We got to do better. The courts got to do better. Tell me, the courts got to do better. The courts got to do their job. Do your job. I have one more story for you guys. I'm going to story 4 out of 4. Oklahoma takes an L. That L is for, what is his name? Benjamin Cole. And also Oklahoma takes a W for executing Benjamin Cole for this heinous crime he committed against his 9-month-old daughter. Let's talk about it. Oklahoma executes Benjamin Cole for the murder of his 9-month-old daughter. His attorneys say he had schizophrenia and was mentally ill. And this is the man who was executed, killing his 9-month-old daughter. Oklahoma has executed by lethal injection Benjamin Cole, who was sentenced to death for the 2002 murder of his 9-month-old daughter, Brianna Victoria Cole, over the objections of defense attorneys who argued the 57-year-old suffered from schizophrenia and was severely mentally ill. The case highlighted a long-standing issue in the debate over capital punishment, how it should apply to those who suffer from mental illness. Meanwhile, relatives of the slain infant on Thursday decried the 2-decade span between Brianna's death and Cole's execution. The execution, the second of 25 Oklahoma has scheduled through 2024, began Thursday at 10:06 a.m. Oklahoma Central Time. Oklahoma Department of Corrections Chief of Operations Justin Ferris told reporters Cole was pronounced unconscious 10:11 a.m. Central Time and pronounced dead at 10:22 a.m. Central Time. Cole declined a ceremonial last meal and chose not to have a spiritual advisor with him, Ferris said. Daniel, Brianna's aunt, thanked the state for carrying out the sentence and giving justice to her late niece, whom she described as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby. She died a horrific death, Daniel told reporters, adding, and he got off easy and gets to get a little injection in his arm and go to sleep in his death. He did not give Brianna the chance to ever grow up to even have a first Christmas to meet her family. Asked what relatives who witnessed the execution will do now. Brian Young, Brianna's uncle, said, "Go back to normal." As normal as it can be, added Daniel, who also told reporters, "We should not have to wait 20 years for a 9-month-old baby to get her justice." Cole attorneys called him a person with serious mental illness whose schizophrenia and brain damage led to him murdering his daughter. According to a statement, by the time of his death, Cole had slipped into a world of delusion and darkness. The attorney, Tom Hurd, said he was often unable to interact with my colleagues and me in any meaningful way. Ben lacked a rational understanding of why Oklahoma took his life today. Hood said as Oklahoma proceeds with its relentless march to execute one mentally ill, traumatized man, another after another, we should have paused to ask whether this was really who we are and who we want to be. Cole, Cole is the second death row inmate put to death in a series of more than 24 executions in the state of Oklahoma. Intends to carry out through 2024, a spree critics have condemned amid the state's history of botched lethal injections. The procedure for Cole On Thursday, with some eventually and without any complications, Ferris told reporters. His last words were a rambling, often nonsensical stream of consciousness that referred at times to the Lord and Jesus and sometimes was required to despair. Journalists who witnessed them later said Cole prayed for the state of Oklahoma and the United States, also stating, "I forgive everyone that I have done wrong." Recall Sean Murphy of the Associated Press. Both Murphy and Nolan Clay of the Oklahoma newspaper, each of whom indicated they had witnessed multiple executions, described Cole's execution as similar to others they seen. Cole's attorney insisted he should not be put to death because his mental condition, magnified by his exposure as a child to drugs and alcohol, substance abuse issues, and physical and actual abuse, had, had deteriorated so much that he was not competent to be executed, according to a clemency petition and a failed bid for mercy. The U.S. Supreme Court on Wednesday denied Cole's request for a stay of execution. Cole's attorneys also unsuccessfully asked the state appeals court to compel the inmate warden to refer his case for review to the district attorney to initiate a competency hearing. Cole lived in a largely platonic state, attorney said. The facts of Cole's case obligated the state to spare his life. His attorneys in recent months told parole board members through the arguments failed. They wanted to involving standards of decency, including public polling that shows approval for executions of the mentally ill. Oklahoma had the opportunity to exhibit courage to follow these standards and to be on the right side of history by prohibiting the execution of Benjamin Cole, a severely mentally ill and physically infirm person. The U.S. Supreme Court in 1986 ruling found the execution of severely mentally ill to be unconstitutional, with Justice Thurgood Marshall writing is no less abhorrent today than it has been for centuries to exact impunity and penance the life of one whose mental illness prevents him from comprehending the reasons for the penalty or its or its or its implications. And in Oklahoma state law makes it illegal to execute someone found to be insane. Cole, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia and had a brain lesion associated with Parkinson's disease, lived in a largely catatonic state, hardly speaking to anyone, including his own lawyers, according to his clemency petition. After years of near total isolation in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary, he used a wheelchair and existed in what one clinical psychologist described in the clemency because of his own mental universe, not understanding the legal proceedings surrounding his imminent execution. Benjamin Cole is incapacitated by his mental illness to the point of being essentially non-functional, Hurt said in a statement after an Oklahoma judge this month ruled Cole was competent to be executed. A Texas pastor welcomed his own attorneys have not been able to have a meaningful interaction with him for years, and the staff who interacted with him in the prison every day confirmed that he cannot communicate or take care of his most basic hygiene. He simply does not have a rational understanding of why Oklahoma seeks to execute him. Oklahoma Attorney General John O'Connor praised the parole board's September vote to deny clemency in a statement noting Cole's conviction and sentence have been upheld on appeal and rejecting questions about illness. Attorneys, although his attorney claimed Cole is mentally ill to the point of catatonia, the fact is that Cole fully cooperated with the mental evaluation in July of this year. The Attorney General said September 27 that the evaluator, who was not hired by Cole or the state, found Cole to be competent to be executed and that Mr. Cole does not currently evidence any substantial overt signs of illness, intellectual impairment, or neurocognitive impairment. I am grateful that the board denied Cole's request for exclusive clemency or thoughts and prayers with other members of Brianna's family. The murder of Brianna Cole. Cole was found guilty of Brianna's brutal December 2002 murder. Prior, the Attorney General office, when heard cries interrupted him while playing a video game, Cole grabbed his daughter's ankles while she was on her stomach and forced them up to her head, breaking her spine and causing her to bleed to death. According to a probable cause affidavit, Cole then returned to his video game as his daughter died, O'Connor said. Cole admitted in a taped confession to causing his daughter's fatal injuries. His clemency petition said telling police he would regret his action for the rest of his life.